tonight on First at 9 this Sunday, the 11th of August 2024. Moment of truth. The forthcoming presidential election determines the country's future stability, says the head of state. Election fever. Sudarshini Fernandopulle to back Sajith at the upcoming poll. MP Roshan Ranasinghe to contest on his own. The testing ground. Election observers comment on the pros and cons of the Regulation of Election Expenditure Act. Conspiracy to oust me. Former Bangladeshi PM Hasina fires off at the US for purportedly orchestrating her ouster.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I am Aditya Singha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now taking you straight to your top story this evening, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the impending presidential election will determine whether the country will move forward with the IMF framework or fall back into another catastrophe. Addressing a gathering, the head of state revealed that the estate Tamil community of the country will be granted land ownership for the first time in the country's history.
A meeting between President Ranil Wickremesinghe and entrepreneurs in Nuwara was held yesterday afternoon. During the meeting, the president was informed about the issues faced by the business community in the area, along with many proposals for development.
We encountered various hardships during the last 2 years. People suffered in long queues while food and fuel shortages persisted island-wide. Additionally, chemical fertilizers and other agrochemical imports were also banned during that time. No one volunteered to take over the country during its hour of need. However, we have come back to normalcy now. The country was able to recover due to foreign aid and funds provided by the IMF. Following discussions with the IMF, there were conditions that were mutually agreed by both parties. Funds will be granted by the IMF for the next few years if we follow the IMF framework. If not, the agreement will be terminated and no funds will be provided. The final result of this year's election reflects whether we are ready to follow this framework or not. The primary concern is whether the people are ready to move ahead in this journey to develop the country or move back towards another crisis. There's another issue involving the estate communities. The estate communities are currently residing in land rooms since they don't own the lands. I will grant them freehold deeds to those lands. For the first time in history, the estate Tamil communities will own the lands they live on and their villages.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
Now, a resolution to support President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election was passed unanimously at a meeting in Badulla today, which garnered the participation of key MPs of the ruling party along with several MPs of the opposition. Speaking at the meeting today, State Minister of Primary Industries Chamara Sampath Dasanayake says that if opposition leader Sajith Premadasa comes to power, the country would once more be embroiled in an economic crisis.
The Badulla district's edition of the Victory Through Unity public rally series was held today. The event garnered the participation of members of the ruling party along with several MPs of the opposition who pledged their support to President Ranil Wickremesinghe's victory at the upcoming presidential election.
අපි යෝජනාවක් සම්මත කරා. මෙතන පොහොට්ටුව නියෝජන කරන කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා, UNP නියෝජන කරන කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා, ශ්‍රී ලංකා නියෝජන කරන කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා, සමගි ජනබලවේගය නියෝජන කරන කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා. අපි අද යෝජනාවක් සම්මත කරමු බදුල්ලේදී රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාට සහයෝගය දෙනවා කියලා. මේ අපි සියලු දෙනාම අනාගත දිනන රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහගේ කොටස් කරු වෙනවා.
සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස කයිවාරු ගහනවා IMF එකේ සල්ලි එයාවම වෙනස් කරනවා කියලා. IMF එකත් එක්ක අරගත්තොත් මූට උඹට බම්බු ගහපනින් කියලා IMF එකේ වෙන රටකට. එතකොට ආයෙත් අපිට පොලිමේ තමයි ඉන්නේ මූ කියන කතාව ඇහුවොත්. සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස හිතන විදියට මේ රට කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් අපි රට කරපු විදියක් දන්නවා. මුළු නිවාස අධිකාරියම විනාශ කළා. සංස්කෘතික අරමුදල ඉවරටම ඉවර කරා. එහෙම මිනිහෙකුට මේ රට බාර දුන්නොත් හොඳට තියෙයි.
දැන් සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්තයා එකක් කරන්න අනිත් ඔක්කොම දෙනවා. ඉස්කෝලේකට ගියාම කියන මං සෑම පාසලක්ම රාජකීය විද්‍යාලයක් බවට පත් කරනවා කියන. මේක කරන්න පුළුවන් වැඩක්ද මිත්‍රවරුනි? සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්තයා හිතන්නේ මේ රටේ ජනතාව අම්මු ගොන්නු කියලා. ලාල් කාන්ත කියන විදියට අරගලේ මුවාවෙන් ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ හා මේ රටේ ත්‍රස්තවාදීන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ගිනි තියන්න එනකොට රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා තමයි නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරලා පාර්ලිමේන්තුව බේරගත්තේ. නැත්නම් අද තවත් බංග්ලාදේශයක් බවට ශ්‍රී ලංකාව පත් වෙනවා.
Now, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says his team is capable enough to earn the sufficient dollars and rupees necessary to save Sri Lanka from bankruptcy. Addressing a rally in Galle, Premadasa said the school curriculum will be changed in order to create a skilled labour force that can meet the demands of the international labour market.
The Galle district rally of the Samagi Jana Sandhanaya was held in Alpitia today.
Do not divide yourselves into factions now. This is a pivotal moment which will determine the future of our country. That is why we, including GL Piris and Shan Vijalal de Silva, decided to leave our traditional political camps. We did not take that decision to secure a seat in parliament or obtain a cabinet portfolio. We simply do not want to divide into factions at this moment. The country is about to become anarchic under the presidency of Ranil Wickremesinghe.
One faction which is intoxicated by power is attempting to remain in office for a longer period of time. Another group which has made jealousy, hatred and violence integral elements of their political journey is trying to destroy the country further. Some believe that Sri Lanka lacks the financial capability to overcome bankruptcy. Please hand over the responsibility to me and my team. We will earn the necessary dollars, rupees and other assets essential for our country. We will convert each and every divisional secretariat into a paradise of industries. We will operate one industry per divisional secretariat. We will convert all schools into smart schools. We will change the school curriculum to include science, technology, English, engineering, medicine, law, computer science, information technology, environmental sciences and management sciences in order to create a skilled labor force that can meet the demands of the international labor market. I was questioned about why I did not accept certain positions. I could have accepted a lot of positions. If I accept the presidency, I would have been a successor president. I have no intention of becoming a successor president. I want to be a president elected by the people.
මගේ තියෙන එකම බලාපොරොත්තුව පොදු ජනතාවගේ ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් වීම බව ප්‍රකාශ කරමින්
National Executive Member of the NPP, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, revealed that most parliamentarians of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya have already joined to support President Ranil Wickremesinghe. He made those remarks at a National People's Power rally in Panadura.
The maiden women's rally of the National People's Power in Kaltara district was held in Panadura yesterday.
We don't have to keep talking about Ranil Wickremesinghe at every event. What Pavitra Vanyarachi said was enough. Now she claims that Bangladesh yearns for a leader of President Ranil Wickremesinghe's caliber. At the 2020 general elections, Ranil Wickremesinghe was rejected by his own constituency, which was infamous as a UNP fortress. But who is supporting him now? The SLPP MPs who used to bash him before support him now. There's Rohit Abe Gunawardena, who used to say that President Ranil Wickremesinghe ruined the country. Just like Vidura Vikramanayaka, Anupa Paskual, Rohita and Piyal Nishanta, others will also join to support him. They will subsequently change everything about themselves. President Ranil Wickremesinghe leads a pack of thieves. Those who are reluctant to join President Ranil Wickremesinghe join Sajith Premadasa. However, those who stop there during the day spend the night at the president's camp. Dr. Harsha De Silva was the first to do that. When the president goes abroad, the SJB MPs definitely join him. We challenge Kabir Hashim to hold a media conference and tell the country whether or not he requested 12 acres from Hantana for his son. Even though they have removed all correspondence from the relevant files, we have them with us. It is useless to talk about Namal Rajapaksha's camp. It's good that he took up the nomination. Otherwise, Tissa Kuttiarachi would have become the presidential candidate. There's no one else deserving to take up the nomination.
හොඳ වෙලාවට නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ හරි අපේක්ෂකයා වුණේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් මොකෝ වෙන්නේ? තිස්ස කුටි තමයි අපේක්ෂකයා වෙන්නේ හිටියේ.
With more than 20 presidential candidates running for presidency this year, former Minister of Sports Roshan Ranasinghe announced his candidacy in the upcoming presidential election. Meanwhile, MP Dr. Sudarshini Fernandopulle, representing the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, has decided to support opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and the Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
Gampha District Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna MP and former Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandopulle announced her decision to support opposition leader and Samagi Jana Balawegaya candidate Sajith Premadasa at the upcoming presidential election.
සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමාට ඊළඟ එළඹෙන ජනාධිපතිවරණයේදී සහාය පළ කිරීමට පොරොන්දු වුණා. මම විශ්වාස කරනවා ඉන්න ජනාධිපතිවරණයට ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා ඉන්න විවිධ කණ්ඩායම් දිහා බලනකොට රටට වැඩක් කරන්න පුළුවන් නායකත්වයක් සහ රටට වැඩක් කරන්න පුළුවන් අත්දැකීම් සහිත හොඳ කණ්ඩායමක් සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමාගේ සමග ජන බලවේගයේ ඉන්නවා කියලා මම විශ්වාස කරනවා. ඒ නිසා මට රටට අවශ්‍යයි හොඳ නායකත්වයක් සහ හොඳ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් හොඳ කණ්ඩායමක් එක්ක ගමනක් යන්න. ඉතින් ඒ වෙනස කරන්න එතුමාටත් කණ්ඩායමටත් පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා මම හිතනවා.
Meanwhile, attending an event at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute today, former Minister of Sports Roshan Ranasinghe announced his candidacy for the upcoming presidential election.
Former Chief Justice Sarathan Silva asked me to take over this country. I will take this responsibility, however, I will not be attached to the presidency. I believe that the people of this country will support me in that journey. I strongly believe that the public will stand with me to save this country without being divided based on narrow political lines. I will run for the office of presidency this year.
Now, leader of the Maubima Janata Party and presidential candidate of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance, Dilip Jayavira, requested all presidential candidates to make sure that the platform is set for the people to vote on an agenda and not on individual personalities in the upcoming presidential polls. The MJP leader made those remarks during a meeting with representatives of civil society organizations in Colombo today.
A meeting between representatives of civil society organizations and Dilip Jayavira, the presidential candidate of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance and the leader of the Maubima Janata Party, was held in Colombo today. The civil society organizations were presented with an edition of the second draft of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance's strategic plan titled A Happy Nation, an Entrepreneurial State. Later, the civil society organizations who participated in the meeting presented their 8-point agenda to presidential candidate Dilip Jayavira.
To subject the second draft of our strategic plan to a more intellectual and rigorous debate, we will share the second draft of our strategic plan with civil society organizations, scholars, academics, professionals and various other groups. At the top of the heap of mistakes we have made in the past is election manifestos. So I urge all presidential candidates to make sure that the platform is set for the people to vote for an agenda and not an individual personality. I didn't get the idea to execute it. It's something I would have done if I had gotten the idea. Someone else did it for me. As the Sarvajana Balaya, we are grateful to that person for helping our campaign succeed.
Now, as the presidential poll draws closer, the battle between the SLPP, the UNP, the SJB and the NPP seems to be intensifying each passing day. As the heat intensifies, now let's take a look at what some politicians from a few of Sri Lanka's most popular parties have to say about the current political context within the nation.
පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරු 100ක් විතර ඉන්නවා මේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනතාවට සහයෝග දෙන්න. ඉතින් මේ පක්ෂය අපිනේ රැඳවල් නැතුව නිදි මරාගෙන අපි කටයුතු කරලා හදමු පක්ෂය. අපි මේ පක්ෂයේ අයිතිවාසිකමත් ජනාධිපතිවරණයෙන් පස්සේ අපි ලබා ගන්න. පොට්ටුවේ බලය ලබා ගන්නවා නැත්නම් පොට්ටුව නමට තියයි බලය ලබා ගන්නවා.
මේකේ බලය අල්ලන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ හිතන විදිහට ලේසි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා නම් මේකේ බලය අල්ලනවා කියලා අපිත් ඉන්නවනේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ අල්ලන හැටි අපි බලමුකෝ.
මහින්ද මහත්තයාට අපි ආදරේ තමයි. හැබැයි අපි ඊට වඩා රටට ආදරේ. රට ගැන තීන්දුව ගන්න තියෙන වෙලාවකදී අපි පෞද්ගලිකත්වය බලන්නේ නැහැ. නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මන්ත්‍රීතුමාට තව කාලයක් තියෙනවා. එතුමාගේ අත්දැකීම් ලබන්න ඕනේ.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා 2005 ගත්තේ ප්‍රතිඵලය තමයි නාම රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා සැප්තැම්බර් මාසේ 21 වෙනිදාත් ඒ ප්‍රතිඵලයම තමයි ගන්නෙ. මේ රට තව ඉදිරිපින්මක් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා ගෙනාට වැඩිය ඉදිරිපින්මක් ගේන එක තමයි අපේ පක්ෂයේ වැඩපිළිවෙල.
මං හදවතින් කැමති පොහොට්ටුව දිරනවාට. හැබැයි මම නෙමෙයි ඔබ නෙමෙයි කාටවත් එක දැන් මේ මොහොතේ ගොඩ ගන්න බෑ. මම කැමති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා දිනනවාට. පොහොට්ටුවට දිනන්න බැරි නිසා.
දැන් මේ කාට හරි ආන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මේ පොට්ටුවෙනුත් එනවා සන්දාන ගන්නවා ලොකු ලොකු කට්ටිය එනවා කියලා ඉවරලා. ඒක එන්න ඕන දිනන්න. අපිට 56 තිබ්බේ. තව 14ක් ගන්න ඕන. ඒ නිසා පොට්ටුවෙන් වද්ද ගන්න පුළුවන්. පිළිගැනීමක් තියනව ගන්න ඕන. හැබැයි කේක් එක හැදුවේ අපි. ඒ නිසා
ඒක අපි බලා ගන්න.
සමගි ජන බලවේගයෙන් මේ මොහොත වෙනකොටත් 6 දෙනෙක් හෝ 7 දෙනෙක් සමගි ජන බලවේගයෙන් ගැලවිලා එළියේ ඉන්නවා. මම හිතන්නේ ඒක ජනමාධ්‍ය දන්නවා. නමුත් ඒ වගේම 16 වෙනිදා විතර වෙනකොට සැලකිය යුතු පිරිසක් ඒ පක්ෂ වලින් ගැලවිලා අපිත් එක්ක මේ හදන පොදු සන්දානයට එකතු වෙනවා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහයන්ගේ ජයග්‍රහණය සඳහා.
නායකයෝ රනිල්ට සජිත්ට බෙදුනට ජනතාව රනිල්ට සහාය දෙන්නෙත් නැහැ සජිත්ට සහාය දෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. දැන් ජනතාව එකතු වෙලා තින්නේ අනුර වටේ. ඒ නිසා නායකයෝ ගියාට වැඩක් නැහැ. ජනතාව එකතු වෙන්නේ අපිත් එක්ක.
දැන් අනුර දිසානායකද ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා අවුරුදු දෙකකටත් පස්සේ දැන් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා කියන්නේ වැල්පාලමේ භාගයක් ඇවිල්ලා කියලා. ඉතින් හරි. ඒ භාගය ඇවිල්ලා අපි එතන ඉඳලා ඉස්සරහට යන්න තමයි අපි වලේ ඉල්ලන්නේ. වැල්පාලමේ භාගයක් දුර එතුම ඇවිල්ලා කියලා මුලින්ම රටට සහතිකය දුන්නේ කවුද? අනුර දිසානායක. ඉතින් අපිට මොකටද තව අනුර දිසානායක කෙනෙක් ඉතුරු ගමන යන්නේ?
Now in other political news, leader of the United Republican Front, MP Partli Champika Ranawaka reveals that his party will publicly announce which presidential candidate it endorses within the next few days. He made those comments while addressing a gathering in Piliyandala.
අපි ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාට.
We are grateful to former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Namal Rajapaksa has been nominated as the SLPP candidate. We have been given the opportunity to use our vote democratically to benefit the country. We urge the public to unite together to discourage the SLPP in the upcoming presidential polls and let us teach Mahinda Rajapaksa a lesson which he failed to learn in the aftermath of the July 9th struggle. Since 23 candidates have publicly declared their candidacy, some may have concerns regarding whom we will support. We will announce our decision within the next few days. We will ensure that the candidate we endorse is elected to office.
අපි එකවන්ව අධිෂ්ඨානයෙන් ක්‍රියා කරන බව නම් අපි මේ අවස්ථාවේදී බොහොම පැහැදිලි.
Executive Director of People's Action for Free and Fair Elections, Rohana Hettiarachchi, is of the view that the Regulation of Election Expenditure Act, which will be enforced in the upcoming presidential election, is helpful to greater extent in monitoring election campaign financing, as any violations as per the law will have consequences on the candidates. He made those comments while joining our current affairs program at Hyde Park with Indivari Amuwatta. Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Institute for Democratic Reforms and Electoral Studies, Manjula Gajanayaka, says the new act empowers the Election Commission to summon the responsible government authorities and the Bar Association of Sri Lanka in case of any discrepancies.
Would this election be a testing ground for how Sri Lanka's the system really manages and addresses this campaign financing issue? How do you think this year around we could see a change, a new direction to Sri Lanka's election systems?
Misuse of the government fund is different things. Of course, you can't bring it to these new regulations. This is completely purely with the money which they spend from their own in a sense, maybe their friends or colleagues or the party or whatever. The initial draft which we made in 2017, Patrol initiated that, and of course Manjula and other observers group also involved with us, including elections commissions and various political parties. It has changed drastically when it's come to the real bill. There are a lot of loopholes, there are a lot of weakness on this existing law at the moment. But as you also mentioned, this is the first time we are having in a recent history this kind of law. Immediately after the nominations, within 5 days time, the elections commissions need to consult all the contesting political parties, and considering the economics, other factors, they have to decide the amount for one voter, one elector. So in these elections, whatever the amount they decide, it has to multiply with 17 million. So that will be the ceiling amount for the political party or a candidate, those who can spend during elections period, the maximum amount. But even at the moment, the political parties has already spent billions of money. I mean, they have run this campaign last 3-4 months. You can't bring all those things into the existing law now, because it will start after the nomination. So until then,
that's after the 15th.
After the 15th. The beauty of this law is that after the elections, they have to submit 2 reports. One is they have to bring all the incomes into one report, whether it can be a financial support, whether it can be a in-kind support. And also they have to submit within 21 days expenditure report. What is the expenses for the whole elections campaign? They have to submit this report to the Elections Commission, and Elections Commission need to publish it. So we will be access to all this information. So if we able to collect all the expenses, or if we can monitor the political party's campaign, and we can check whether they have given the real report. If there is a gap, we can challenge at the court. Finally, there is an opportunity to disqualify the persons also, but it's very unlikely the president once he get elected. That's a, practical scenario. But we can try, if we have a clear evidence that they have violated the law, we can disqualify the persons even after the election.
And the law allows it.
Of course, yeah.
Whether it's friends, family, or anyone supporting candidates, do you think there will be a transparent manner in which our candidates will also engage in this process? Because there will be creative ways in financing and helping out each of these candidates, and it can be overlooked.
When it comes to the funding sources, as Mr. Rohana said, actually you have to submit two kind of reports. The first one is that how you are going to spend your money. The other one is that in-kind donations what you have received. In that two reports, actually you have to report the funding sources. The beautiful thing is that according to the law, actually, when you are receiving anything, it is your responsibility to note down not only the name, identity card number, as well as more information. Then Election Commission will receive those comprehensive reports. If there's any discrepancies, the report submitted by them and submitted by us, even complaints actually, if there is a case, law enforcement bodies as well as the court can compare. That is most important part. But as you mentioned, if someone donating money in cash in secret way, then we are not in a position to track such kind of things. But such donations, funds are going to use for the campaign, actually you have to report. Then you can obtain some kind of money, donations in secret way. But if you are going to spend money into your campaign, then in some ways actually we can track. That means at least now we have a law. Recently, a few months ago, Election Commission, we also supported into that action. Election Commission convene a meeting for all other relevant election stakeholders like Auditor Department, Auditor General, as well as Bar Association and Inland Revenue Department like that. If Election Commission concern some kind of discrepancies in those reports that they have received, actually they can hold other reports from other stakeholders. That is the important part of this specific law.
Star Dishwasher Dali Tel Indul Pahasuwen Sede. Star Dishwasher Magic Tub එක.
Welcome back. Now in your business news, the Commissioner General of Inland Revenue issued a warning to all taxpayers regarding fraudulent activities involving individuals impersonating Inland Revenue officers collecting money from business owners. The Commissioner General emphasized that all recoveries of outstanding taxes across all tax types managed by the Inland Revenue Department will be carried out legally, with written notifications being issued prior to any such actions. In a statement, the IRD Commissioner General added that the Inland Revenue Department does not take responsibility for any such payments made to fraudulent individuals. The Commissioner General of the Inland Revenue Department further added that a complaint has already been lodged with the Sri Lanka Police to take legal actions against such incidents. Accordingly, if there are any concerns regarding tax payments or other related issues, taxpayers are encouraged to visit the nearest regional or head office of the Inland Revenue Department for assistance. And now let's take a look at some corporate news in brief.
The American-based news agency Bloomberg announced that Commercial Bank of Ceylon adopted Bloomberg's data license to access reliable, high-quality reference data and to streamline their portfolio management. Commercial Bank will use the data license to perform valuations and mark-to-market their portfolio automatically, reducing the scope for error. This also marks Commercial Bank as the first bank in Sri Lanka to adopt Bloomberg's data license to power their growth with comprehensive enterprise data. In the meantime, Merchant Bank of Sri Lanka and Finance PLC signed a memorandum of understanding with Haley's Solar, the renewable energy arm of Haley's Fentons, to launch new solar financing programs. Accordingly, a personal solar loan scheme and a term loan tailored for individuals and businesses are expected to be launched through this collaboration. Further, the initiative allows customers to pay a low monthly bank installment, which is less than their current monthly electricity bill. In other corporate news, Chairman of Capital Alliance PLC, D.A. Disoisa, stated that the company aims to continuously push the boundaries of what's possible within the IT sphere and beyond, thereby significantly contributing to the growth of the country's financial sector and the nation as a whole. In its annual report, the company chairman added that despite challenges that emerged over the past, the company outlook remains positive, buoyed by opportunities that lie ahead. The chairman also expressed his confidence in rebuilding the country and achieving greater heights through the right policy measures and recovery strategies in place.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Ada Derana First at 9. Stay in touch with us on www.adaderana.lk for the latest developments around the clock. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit adaderana.lk.